Hi everybody, Thunder here. I'm here to talk about modifications. This bike has more than 20. It is, to me, the ultimate modded bike. I'm here to talk about these mods and what you can do to make your bike better for you. One of the first things you may have noticed is that I'm a really big fellow. And one of the first things I noticed when I got on the bike was the suspension was weak. I was getting heavy wind blast into my eyes. My feet hurt all the time. And the tires were just not up to snuff. So, I made some modifications almost right away. The first thing I did when I bought my NC700 was I swapped the tires out. Go to the parts counter and ordered different tires. The tires I had on were Michelin Pilots. And they were okay, but they were just okay. Once I started doing other things with my tires, that's when the trouble started. My windshield was great, but not great enough. I kept getting the wind blast in my chin. So I had to duck my head a lot, especially on the highway. What did I do? I got out Mr. Duct Tape. Went to the fabric store, got some foam rubber, and extended my windshield. I didn't realize how important a soft windshield was until I fell over. The windshield was lying on the ground, on stone. I picked it up, dusted it off, and what you see today is exactly how it was when I picked up the bike. That's pretty awesome. I have removed the lower section of my tail light assembly. This is a problem in a crash. It shakes and bounces all over the place. You're just going to wind up dragging a reflector, and I don't want to do that. I have angled my license plate back a few degrees. This is important, especially in a crash. I rode almost anywhere and on just about anything. Street, dirt, rubble, stone, dust, sand, gravel, just about every surface out there. I needed versatility. And the only way I was going to get that was by putting some serious tires on my bike. People often ask me about tire sizes. Why do I change them so radically? Well, you need tires that work for you. I ride off-road, so I want a higher profile tire. I don't need a 160 tire. That's a little wide. A narrower tire like a 150 will give you quicker action side to side. My feet were absolutely killing me. If I stood up, my arches, well, they were barking. So, I needed to change the foot pegs. But the aftermarket options, well, there's maybe one or two that are really worth it, but they're so expensive. It was cheaper just to go to Honda and get foot pegs off of a different bike, so that's what I did. One of the things that always bothered me about this bike was the seat. It had a terrible slope. Even with a softer suspension, it didn't matter. I kept sliding forward, everything got really tight underneath, and wow, my underbellies were really hurting. I needed to do something fast. I needed to pull over and cry. It was so bad. So I went to a seamstress, a very nice Korean lady. She really helped me make a new seat cover and pad it out really nicely. Several generations later, I started using jeans, and this denim is really wonderful. I've got layers of foam underneath. I've built up the seat so it's flat, and I really enjoy it. The next thing I did was I swapped out the suspension, front and rear. I have new internals in my front forks, and I have a brand new rear shock from YSS Suspension. I have these plastic handguards. You can tell I've fallen on these a couple of times. This one has a few scuffs. My hands really hurt, so I made some modifications to the handlebars, and everything is much better. If you don't want to ride around with your cell phone in the trunk anymore, get a RAM mount. I use this rubber strap to keep my phone from flying away while I'm riding off-road. This protects my phone and holds it securely while keeping vibration from affecting the phone's performance. One of the problems with the RAM mount is these little rubber parts fall off. Well, the answer to that is very simple. Get out some electrical tape, wrap the metal shafts with the electrical tape, and then put the rubber parts back on. You'll never lose another one. I needed mirrors for when I'm riding standing up. These are really nice. They're fully adjustable and they just stick on. I wasn't good with them just sticking on, so I glued them on too. That really worked. I needed driving lights. All I can say is, wow, these are bright. You can always tell when an LED lighting system is going to be very bright. The housing is made of metal and is a heat sink. I have a handlebar switch for my driving lights. Now, one of the things they don't sell you with an LED assembly is the attachment to wherever it is you're going to attach it to. I didn't want to fuss with all these different assemblies and crazy looking arms and things that stuck out 6 inches, so I just went to Home Depot, got an L bracket, drilled it out, and bolted it on. Simple. How do you know your modifications are right for you? Well, lay your bike over. Take a look at it. Is it laying flat on the ground, or is it laying on your crash bar? Look at your windshield. Is it touching the ground? Look at your turn signals and your license plate. Are they touching the ground? Where are the contact points? Well, here I can see it's my factory foot peg, which folds over perfectly. I like that. I don't want to spend $200 on a foot peg and have it break off. The bar ends on your bike serve multiple functions. They can serve as an anti-vibration device, but more importantly, they can help you lift your bike in a fall. Practice laying your bike over on its side. Look underneath and see what's touching. Lay your bike over on a slope. Your bike might be resting on its rear tire, or it might be resting somewhere on the front with the rear tire up in the air. While your bike is laid over, take a look at this area. See if you see any problems. This is why you should lay your bike over. Under my bike, I have a rebound adjuster knob which I can spin to change the rebound on my rear shock. I added a polymer band underneath my kickstand spring to hold my kickstand up while I ride off-road. I found it curious that when I laid my bike over, it rested on the flat area of my crash bar. Normally, it only rests on the corner of the crash bar. So this is interesting. When the bike falls over, this is another contact point. I sure am glad it's soft. How many times have you laid your bike over? Left and then right. Lay it down on both sides. Look at the contact points again. I can see there that the muffler's contacting and my crash bar. Lay it over even further. Look at where it's contacting. It looks like the crash bar is contacting in the front. The handlebar is barely contacting, but that handguard is touching. Over here it looks like my GoPro mount is going to make it, but we're definitely on that foot peg way down there. It looks like my rear turn signals are going to do just fine. I like the way this bike lays over. It's really going to be a successful bike for adventure riding, because it sure can crash. I have these inexpensive crash bars. They're very useful, but I found that wrapping them with bicycle tape keeps them protected when I fall over. I have a Honda factory light bar. This is not a crash bar, but it does protect the bodywork. I modified the mount on my crash bar to make it much stronger. One day, while inspecting my radiator, I found a dent on the side of my radiator. Well, the next day I got on Amazon and ordered an RNG screen protector for my radiator. You may think something like this is strictly to protect the dust seals on the upper part of the fork tube. But the truth is in a crash, it protects the entire fork tube from any rocks and stones that might fly up during the crash. Inside my trunk, I've made some simple modifications. I've installed a garage door opener And I've installed a power port on the other side. I have a toll tag hidden under the door. I have installed a battery recharging port. I have a marine USB port with 2 power ports. My bike has supplemental lighting in the handlebar area, inside the front vents, and under the seat, as well as in the side vents and in the engine area. I have extended my airbox vent tube down beyond my engine guard so that I don't have oil dripping all over my motor unexpectedly. Behind this guard, I have shorted out my kickstand switch, so it's never ever going to be a problem again. I have 2 camping packs that absolutely will never come loose. I have rubber-coated metal wire ties holding my camping bag down securely. I have an aftermarket exhaust that mimics a Yoshimura. I have a quiet core muffler system that keeps the volume down low. My highway pegs can be folded down and folded up, and they're very high quality. I have handlebar risers so that I can ride standing up. I have a very large foot plate. I have a center stand which I keep tied back for off-road riding. I have spring preload adjusters at the top of my forks. I use a system of 2 keys to access my trunk at any time while the engine is running. Even though most of my license plate assembly is missing, my license plate is still lit at night from the bottom of my taillight assembly. This is legal in the United States. If you happen to be passed while you're in a car, this is what it looks like.